And the salon became like a hub for education and young hairdressers. Because I felt like if I opened a salon, I wanted to teach young women at the time. Okay, it was young women at the time. Now it's everyone. I wanted to teach them financial autonomy. And I knew that if I could teach them a craft in their hands, they'd never have to rely on anybody for their own money. I watched my mother struggle, and I wasn't going to let any of my staff struggle.
I'm so glad you could make it. Sit down, sit down. Oh, yeah. Oh, the band is gonna be awesome tonight. I dig it. I'm so glad you could make it. I'm so glad you could make it.
All right, welcome back to Therapy Sessions. I was realizing as I was logging on that I can't believe, but I've been interviewing regular people telling real stories about their beauty industry journey for 4 seasons. Insanity. But you guys, this episode, I want you to hang on to your hat because this it's crazy. Get out your pen and paper or open your notes app or whatever you got to do. Because we are talking to a master in the industry today. She's the founder and CEO of DopDop Salon. She's a L'Oreal Pro International Artist, Wisdom Pro Educator, motivational speaker, and just overall general badass. Her name is Jo Blackwell Preston, and she has entered the chat. Thank you for being here with me today, Jo.
Thanks for having me, Tasha. I'm super excited.
Same, girl, same. So before we even dive in, because I realize a lot of your story has already been covered in other podcasts and other venues. So I don't want to rehash too much of it. But before we get started, just kind of share with the audience, like, who is Jo Blackwell Preston? Where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up? Did you always want to be a hairstylist? Just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay. So I was born in Houston, Texas. I was raised in Cleveland, Ohio. And so when I was a kid, so my parents the night my dad left, I watched my mom put a knife to his throat, and it was really rough. And my dad left, and I really knew from that moment on that it was me against the world. I had to be a good kid. I had to work it out. I've had a job since I've had a paper route and babysitting from the time I was 7. But when I was about 14, 2 major things happened. The first major thing that happened was my great-grandmother, who had this beautiful chignon, this beautiful braid that went down to the floor, and she would wear it all wrapped up. She was Sicilian, in the back of her head. No one was allowed to touch Big Grandma's hair. And one summer I was there, and my aunt was sick, and she's like, Big Grandma needs her hair shampooed and braided, and no one's allowed to touch it, but you've watched me do it so many times that I'm gonna let you do it. And I was really young. I was I think I was about 12, 13, something like that. And so I carefully, delicately shampooed my great-grandmother's hair, and her braid went down to the floor, and I wasn't allowed to use a comb on her hair. We were allowed to massage her hair with our fingers, her scalp, but when it came to combing through her hair, we would do it literally one strand at a time till all of it was straight down to the floor, and then we would braid it into a plait and then wrap it into a chignon, and she had these beautiful U-pins from Italy that would hold it together. And I knew there was something special there. Like the touch of her hair, the honor of being able to do her hair, and the way it felt to like make her feel beautiful. So something clicked.
Yeah.
Within a year or so after that, I heard that I could go to cosmetology school, half a day of high school and half a day of cosmetology school. And I was like, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after that, my mom and I got into a huge fight. She put me out. I was either going to go into a school for incorrigible girls or go live with my aunt. And my aunt said, listen, I'll take her in. My aunt didn't have any kids. And I got a job after school working at the grocery store. I saved my money and I put myself through beauty school for the next 2 years. $455 to go to beauty school in 1983 to 84 and 84 to 85. 2,700 hours.
Changed a little bit today.
Yes. Well, and it was 2,700 hours. Like you couldn't just get 1,000 hours and get your license. It wasn't like that. So I had my own place in my senior year. I went to beauty school half the day in my junior and senior year. I got my license. I was 17 when I got licensed in Ohio. And at the time, it was a cosmetology license, an esthetician license, a nail license, a massage license, and a barber license. It was everything. And I graduated from high school. And right after my 18th birthday, I moved to Houston, Texas. And I said, I got to go find my dad. I was kind of like on this journey to find my father. And I lived in Houston. I worked for Visible Changes for John and Marianne McCormick from 85 to 91. And in 91, I got this opportunity to move to New York City and work for John Delaria. And I was doing my first Hair Color USA. I was just a kid on stage with all these icons, you know, like Annie Humphreys from Vidal Sassoon and Stuart Gabbert from Umberto's and Gina Khan and it was crazy, and Beth Minardi. And here I was, this kid, and I got to do Hair Color USA. And I said, I'm going to go to New York. And I came up here and I started working for John Delaria. And I was busting my butt trying to make something of myself, young punk rock kid, you know, like trying to make it happen. And in 96, I said, you know what, I was 29. And I was like, I want to have my own gig. And I opened DopDop Salon on November 29th, 1996 at the age of 29 years old.
Wow.
And I said, you know, someone's going to know who I am.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely
got on my grind, started doing the hair circuit. I was the colorist for the Artec artistic team for years. And then L'Oreal purchased Artec. And part of the purchase was we all got the opportunity to go for an interview and see if we could go work with L'Oreal. And they really wanted us because we were the top educational team out there on the circuit. And it was like, okay. And all the companies came to me. Schwarzkopf came to me. Goldwell came to me. Wella came to me. L'Oreal came to me. They all started sending me this product. They all wanted me as an educator because I was like this young, brash, killer educator. Yeah. And I liked the quality of the product, of the output of L'Oreal. I was like, wow, this is a really refined line. Yeah. And super elegant, Parisian. It was totally my vibe. And I was like, okay, here we go. Yes. And then that was that. And DopDop kind of like blew up and we became these powerhouse educators. Yes. And the salon became like a hub for education and young hairdressers. Because I felt like if I opened a salon, I wanted to teach young women at the time. Okay, it was young women at the time. Now it's everyone. I wanted to teach them financial autonomy. And I knew that if I could teach them a craft in their hands, they'd never have to rely on anybody for their own money. I watched my mother struggle. And I wasn't going to let any of my staff struggle. And I taught them years. And, yes. And that's kind of like the story, you know, from my dad leaving to doing my great-grandmother's hair to like moving to Texas to find my father to like coming here and making a name for myself. And here I am in New York. I've been in New York now for 33 years. Amazing. Actually, 33 years and like 3 months I've been here. And I feel like I'm in my Jesus year as a New Yorker this year. So
Uh,
lots of changes, lots of evolution, lots of like making it. We'll talk a little bit more later, but there's a lot
yeah,
happening right now.
yeah, yeah. So before we go forward, I want to go back because I want to hit a couple of points that I feel like, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, maybe were very pivotal for because you're clearly like very motivated to succeed. Like you're
Yes.
a hard worker.
Yes, I am
Um,
on my grind, girl, and I love it. I love the
yes,
grind. All
absolutely.
about
So my first question is, how old are you when you see your mother hold a knife to your father? And did you understand what is happening in that moment?
So I was a little girl. I was like sucking my thumb like Maggie Simpson.
Oh
And
my
I walk
God.
out, and my dad's like, Joni, I can't stay. I got to go. And he's about to leave. And my mom's like, you're not leaving me with these kids. And my dad was like, I can't stay.
Wow.
And as an adult now, I really understood so much more of what their relationship was. I've lost both of
Hmm.
my parents since then, but like,
Hmm.
they were young. They were
Yeah.
high school sweethearts, and they were trying to
Yeah.
make a life, and it didn't
Yeah.
work. And so I was a little baby watching this happen, and
Okay.
I literally, my dad, he saw me, and he was like, "Oh my God, Joanne," and he scooped me up, and he took me back to bed, and he said, "Daddy's got to go, and I love you, but what I created in that moment is I'm a bad girl.
Mm.
Daddy's gone, and I don't know how we're going to do this, but I'm going to be a really good kid because if I'm a good kid, maybe people won't leave." But that
Wow.
abandonment was so severe
Wow.
that it
Yeah.
literally carried me through until I was in my mid 30s. I felt
Okay.
like every relationship was going to be, I was either going to run away
Yeah.
or
Or
like,
they were.
in my early 30s, here was my line. It's a gun with one bullet, a homicide or a suicide. One of us has got to go.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so, several marriages later,
Yeah.
with my husband now for 20 years, but I was married
Beautiful.
several times before this.
Yeah.
It was always like, never trust anybody
Yeah.
and take care of yourself because you're all you got.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
And then to
And my
just
mom,
bring that forward a little bit, huh?
I said, my mom was just a kid.
Yeah.
Like she was a kid with kids.
Yes. We just talked about that. Yeah. So it's totally relatable. So then you grow up and you move to Houston to go and find your dad. Did you find him?
Yeah. Yeah. My
And
dad is awesome. When he was alive, my dad and I became, I am my dad. I am definitely my father's daughter and my mother's daughter. I am definitely the strength, the perseverance, the crazy, the
yeah.
creative, the
Yes.
ballsy, the brash, the Sicilian, the
Yes.
passionate. I am a great mix of both of them. So yes, and I
Yes.
found my dad. My dad and I became the best of friends, and
Awesome.
and when he passed, I was his proxy. I was by his side. I was, and yeah. And when
Awesome.
my mom just passed, and I was by her side. I was on FaceTime with my family when my mom was passing. I was with her 3 days before she passed. I was in Ohio. It's been I am definitely their daughter.
Love it.
I am a
I
mashup,
love
as
it.
they say.
Yes. Yes. All of the good things. Love it.
All
And
of
you
the
did,
bad things.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit when you start getting them genetics mixing up, right?
Exactly. I am definitely this beautiful mashup of the two of them, for sure, for sure, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes. And so you shared a little bit of your cosmetology journey. So you didn't, it doesn't sound like you had a traditional cosmetology school. You did it in high school?
I went in high school. We had what was called Cuyahoga Valley Joint Vocational School, and you could bus to a school for half a day for 2 years and get your license.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I went back to that school about 7 years ago, and I was I was their keynote speaker for graduation. And you could learn cosmetology, you could learn automotive, you could learn
Yes.
hotelier, you could learn dental assisting, you could learn, there were so many different vocations. And I think
Yeah.
that the thing that was great about vocational education for me is I'm dyslexic and dyscalculate. I am very much, uh, I had some learning disabilities, even though I'm really bright. I've got a great
Mm-hmm.
IQ, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're dyslexic and dyscalculate, I found that my hands could do things, I could see things that I couldn't read. And vocational education is so necessary in this world. I think it's
Yeah.
the biggest thing that's missing. Everybody goes to college, go to college, go to college, go to college.
Absolutely.
College is not for everyone. Like,
Absolutely.
my daughter is an animation artist, and my son is a singer-songwriter, hip-hop singer-songwriter, and my husband is a DJ and a barber. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think that creativity is really important. I think vocational education, like, you can learn that you can have resources and make money, and you don't have to go and become a lawyer or a doctor. My mother told me hairdressers were bubble-headed bleach blondes that chewed gum and talk gossip all day, and I was never going to make anything of myself. And by the time I was 24, I was making over 100 grand a year, which was more than my mother, my stepdad, and my both brothers living under one roof.
Yeah.
And she was
Wow.
blown away. And I was like, listen, I think college is brilliant if you are academic spice, but I was never academic spice. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that girl. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was hands and hair creative spice. That's who I was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not
Mm-hmm.
like, my brother is a chemical engineer and graduated like number some 5 in his class at Akron U and brilliant. I'm not him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm me. So you do
Mm-hmm.
you, I'm doing me. And I think that the kids today, they're getting there. The amount of debt these kids come out of college with is
Just to come
blasphemous.
out and barely be able to find a job, mind you.
And it's blasphemous. It's
Yeah.
and like, you can have a vocational education in your hands. Like,
Mm-hmm.
wherever I go, my hands go with me.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have enough
Mm-hmm.
plumbers. We ain't got enough electricians. We
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
like it's a sin what's happened in this country, because
Absolutely.
everybody's got to go to college. And like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, I still,
Yeah.
I love, one of my favorite writers is Malcolm Gladwell, and I've written
Mm.
pretty much everything that he's written. I've
Mm-hmm.
read pretty much everything that he's written, and it's hard for me to read. And it's like, when I was reading Talk to Strangers, I was like, it took me for 3 months. I read the same 3 chapters
Yeah.
in a row, and I was like, finally got it on Audible, and like, listen,
Yes.
because it's a
Yes.
hard read. It's a
Yes.
hard read.
Yeah.
Not everybody is that academic vibe. Like, you got to
Yeah.
find the vibe you are and express it and have it be yours and own it. I'm tactile. I love writing. I love pencils. I love scissors. I have 30 pairs of shears. And people are
Wow.
like, what are you doing with 30 pairs of shears? They all
Yeah.
do something different.
Use them. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Like, they all have they all do something different. It's like, that's
Absolutely.
my vibe. So,
Absolutely. And I have a question about, so you said you were dyslexic and dyscalculate. Is that what you
yeah,
said? And
yeah.
is that what is that? What is
That's
dyscalculate?
numbers. Numbers.
So dyslexia, but with numbers.
See letters backwards. I see numbers backwards. It's all backwards. And thank God I've got a great business mind. I'm savvy with business numbers, but it's not cute.
Yeah.
You just have to, you you know what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Like, through adversity you grow, and I think that, the the me that I came to be
Mm-hmm.
uh is all self-generated, self-taught, self-educated, I'm well read, I'm well spoken, I'm well traveled, I'm well versed, but I did it all on my own.
Yeah.
And
How old
I
were
did go,
you when,
but it didn't happen in college.
yeah. How old were you when you came to understand that you learned differently than other people?
4th grade. I remember it
Okay.
like it was yesterday.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
4th grade, and my teacher was like, "You're really bright, but something's off."
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it, like
And,
1978?
okay.
I think it's 1978, 1979. Like, you're really bright, but something's off. Something's not right. And
And so how
they
does your teacher manage that? Because I know now they've got what they call a 504 plan, I think is a thing. But
yeah, I didn't have
in the
that.
70s, I was raised in the 70s, girl, so I know. I always joke when I was a kid, you weren't really allowed to have feelings about anything, like rub some dirt in it and go get it together. So
Yeah, like,
how do they
suck it up.
navigate?
Suck it up.
Yes. Yes.
Get it together. Suck it
So
up.
how do you navigate? How are you able to navigate like getting through school now
I don't know.
knowing? Yeah.
Honestly, Tasha, I don't know. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's so interesting to me because growing up, my brother was a bookworm. He was so intelligent, and I was a scrapper. And my
Okay.
mom always said, "You're smarter than him. You're different." And I was like, "How could I be smarter than him? My SAT scores sucked." She's like, "No, you're different.
Yeah.
You have a different type of intelligence." Now looking back, I had street smarts. I had emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I had this knowingness and this fearlessness that he
Yeah.
didn't have. He had, my brother's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but he worked his butt off to be
Mm-hmm.
brilliant. His nose was always in the books. And like, I remember when we were kids, my brother would always look words up in the dictionary and then use them in several sentences. And I'll never forget the day
Yes.
he figured out the word prerogative. It's like, and this was before Bobby Brown had a song going, "It's my,"
I was gonna
right?
ask.
We were young.
Yeah.
And I just remember him going, "I learned this new word today." And I'd be like, "Really? Like, who
Yeah.
reads the dictionary?" My brother. And,
Yeah.
and it was like, he was always, he was always so smart. And yet I always protected him. He's my older brother. He
Mm.
was the kid with the white tape on his glasses, like,
Mm.
people would pick on him and I'd beat him up.
Yeah.
I was,
Yes.
I
I
was a
love it.
scrapper. He was
Yes.
a straight A student and I was a scrapper. It was like,
Yes.
it was perfect.
I love
You
it.
know, it,
I love it.
it actually
What's the age
worked out.
difference on you guys?
Um, we are 22 months apart.
Oh, you guys are almost twins.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still to this day my biggest hero, my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
He is still my biggest proponent. And we've lost our little brother. My little brother died about
Mm.
5 years ago. My mom just passed away this last late October, and my dad passed away 8.5 years ago. And my brother and I were like, we're orphans. It's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And yet we're
Yeah.
still inseparable. He's still my favorite person in the world.
Yes.
He's still everything I wish I was, and I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And he's really my biggest, like, he's my biggest, like, I feel like you have your person,
Mm-hmm.
like an animal, like you have a dog or a cat and they have their
Mm-hmm.
person, the person that
Mm-hmm.
they, like, my brother, Frank, is my person.
Mm-hmm.
He's,
I love it. Already, your story is so powerful, and it just really gives a lot of insight into who you are and how, like, I understand where that drive comes from, having heard
oh
those
yeah, it's
things.
called survival.
Absolutely. 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 So I know we kind of talked a little bit before we got online about I was saying that we've already heard quite a bit of your story. I know there's lots of people who haven't, and I encourage you. There's a really good interview that she did with Hairbrained that I listened to prepare to prepare for today. I encourage you to go and hear more of her story. But I'd be remiss if I had this time and space with this master style. How long have you been behind the chair?
So I started in 1983. I got my license in 85, and it's 2024. So
Over 40 years.
a minute.
Wow. So, since most of, not me personally, I was alive, although I was a child, But a lot of the people listening, like they were barely a glimmer in their father's eye when you're pursuing your dreams. So I'd be remiss if we didn't talk specifically to salon owners and people
Yeah.
who aspire to be salon owners. I really want to dig into that with you today. So when you talked
Sure.
earlier, you own DopDop Salon in Soho, New York City, which, I mean, that's iconic in and of itself. And how long
Yeah.
has the
It's a
salon
big
been
deal.
open? Yeah, no,
We're in
that's
our
huge.
yeah, it is big. We're in our 28th year.
Crazy.
It's
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
it's cuckoo. Like we survived September 11th.
Yes.
We're only 10 blocks from the Trade Center. And people
Crazy.
don't realize, but the Trade Center started on September 11th, but the fire burned till December 21st. So we couldn't get
Crazy.
into our buildings. We couldn't get downtown. They closed off the Holland Tunnel. We're not that far from the Trade Center. So we lost a lot during the Trade Center bombing.
Yeah.
Then we survived the stock market crash of 2008, when Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers went belly up and all of that took place. That was not cute. And then we just came through COVID, which,
Yeah.
I feel like any business that could make it through one of those events is pretty heroic. But to make it through all three of them,
You're a rock star.
I think we are. I think we're just blessed beyond measure because nobody makes it through one or two of those, but three of them is
Crazy.
just beyond.
Yeah.
And when, and no one saw COVID coming, but the truth of the matter is COVID shut New York down, shut it down.
Yes.
Down.
Yes.
For 16 weeks.
Yes.
Down. And then when we came back, everybody was gone.
Yeah.
Like gone. Like people moved away. Hairdressers moved away.
Yeah.
It was very notwithstanding that I almost died from COVID. I get the award of being my doctor's sickest client that didn't die.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But because I guess God's not done with me yet. I got still have work to do. So
yeah.
But I do think that as a business owner, everybody has some sort of cross to bear, like some sort of burden to grow through to get stronger. In America, 15% of people are business owners, 85% of people are employees, and most businesses die within the first 18 months of being open. So to be at the 28-year mark, and it takes something. It takes perseverance and patience and you got to have a grind. You have to have a great work ethic. I'm from the Midwest. I have a blue collar work ethic. You also have to have a passion, and you have to believe in something bigger than yourself, and you have to have your why. Like my why was to give young people financial autonomy, to give them a future. I have single-handedly in DopDop Salon, we have put out more powerful hairdressers in New York City than any other salon, and that will be the legacy that we leave. Is that we have taught, raised, grown, and given careers to more hairdressers than any other salon in this city, and I'm super proud of that.
And
you should say what you will, like the naysayers or the people that left and opened their own salons. I taught you how to open a salon. How many of these kids have opened a salon and didn't make it? It's not easy. And I'm super proud of every single person that has walked through our doors, because nobody has come here and left anything but better than when they came.
That's beautiful. I love your why. That's so amazing. My daughter is actually apprenticing under me right now. for that exact reason, because I wanted her to have autonomy over her future, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when this is all said and done, she'll be able to go anywhere in the world.
Her own money. My
Yep.
daughter's 15, my daughter's 16. She is upstairs running the front desk. It's a Sunday, so she's up there working the front desk, has her own money. And she has her own company that she does her illustrations and her animation artwork. My son is 18. He's selling shoes at Steve Madden. He's on the track team. He is getting his license and has already bought and paid for his own car.
Love
now
that.
she a hoopty, but it's bought and paid for.
Yes.
So you have to teach. If we don't teach our kids financial autonomy and a good work ethic, and I swear to God, now work ethic is everything, because very few people, everybody wants to have a work ethic, and ain't nobody got one.
Yeah.
They beg
Everybody
you for a
wants
job,
money,
and
but they don't want to have to work for it. They want the money to be just handed out. Like, that's not how that works, baby.
That's not how that works. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Love you.
Now, why DotDot? Why? What is that? What does that mean?
So that's a great question. So DopDop was with my third partner in life, my third life partner. And he and I opened the salon in 96. And I wanted to call the salon Curl Up and Die. And he said, absolutely not.
That's cute. I like it.
Well, it was from the Blues Brothers. There was a salon in the Blues Brothers called Curl Up and Die. I was like, I want to do that in New York.
Yes.
And then he said, we'll put our names on the door. And I said, that's too 1985 to have your name on the door. Everybody had their name on the door. I thought it was really so pretentious and rude. So Dopp Dopp was a baby shampoo that he grew up in Paris with. And oddly enough, owned by L'Oreal. I didn't know that at the time. And so Dopp Dopp was like an umbrella name or a brand. Back then, there was no such thing as a brand. We were one of the first salons that had a brand. It was kind of crazy, you know. Other than Vidal Sassoon, which was his name, there was really no branded salon. And we thought that if we had a salon with an umbrella name like Dopp Dopp, everybody underneath that umbrella could be equal and could be equally as successful. If our names were not on the door, then we could all grow. Because if your name's on the door, they only want the person whose name is on the door to do their hair, and that doesn't grow a business. That doesn't grow other people. We had no idea that Dopp Dopp would get as big as it did.
Yeah.
And shortly after 9/11, he left. We broke up. We parted ways, and he left. And I just went for it. I was just like, we are going to blow this mother up. Let's make it big. Let's make it huge. Let's become something bigger than. When the vision is bigger than you, when the vision that you have is out there, over there for someone else, you have something to grow into. And when Dopp Dopp became a movement. Like, it just became this movement that people wanted to be a part of this movement. And it's beautiful. Like, I'm very humbled by what Dopp Dopp is and what it became.
I mean,
and
you guys
how it
have
flourished.
Hundreds of careers, right?
Yes. Oh my God. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And we also have this belief system that every hairdresser should have two things for themselves. They should have themselves and their alter ego. So literally 28 years ago when I opened the salon, we said everyone's going to work a 4-day work week because we want you to have a different ego. Like, if you're an artist, if you're a drag queen, if you're a singer, if you're a musical theater, if you're a poet, if you're a photographer, if you're a painter, we want you to have some other thing. What happened was everybody became educators. So we have educators in the salon that work for Shuyamura, Kerastase, L'Oreal Professional, Redken Fifth Avenue, Mizani, Baxter.
Amazing.
Everybody became educators, and becoming educators, we said, if you become an educator, you can give back. You're learning and growing and teaching, but you also give back to the team. the more you learn, teachers are leaders. My friend Blair Singer always says, if you're a teacher, you're a leader. Because if you give someone something that they can give back, learn from, or grow from, you become a leader. And so we grew all these educators, as well as artists, as well as poets and performers. And this became the safe haven for people to become more than just I hate the word just a hairdresser. Vivian McKinder has this, Vivian's a really good friend of mine, and she has this thing that says, I'm not just a hairdresser. No.
Yeah.
You're hairdresser plus, hair designer plus. You are an artist.
Yeah.
And that gives you a different type of life when you're more than an artist. Like you're a being that is out there in the world, growing and developing
for other
yourself.
people,
Giving
making other
back.
people feel cared for and loved and beautiful and
making
heard.
a difference.
Yeah.
You know, making a difference. I want to go to my last breath fully used up.
Yes. I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so before I get into more specific salon ownership questions, I want to do a salon vibe check.
Sure.
You're the very first person to walk into the salon for the day. What music are we listening to, and what's the thermostat set on?
Ha! So, music is always going to be 90s hip hop and R&B.
Love it. Can never go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong with Biggie. So, you know, and like some R&B too, like some old Jaheim, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. There might be some reggae, because I live in Jamaica. There might be some, you know, you might be hearing Uncle Bob Marley.
Okay.
But you could also hear some young Marley.
Okay.
Like you could hear some Junior Gong, or you could hear some Lauryn Hill's young Marley, YC, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Some young Marley going on.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a little bit of a reggae vibe.
Okay.
A little bit of dance hall, because I do live in Jamaica, so there's always going to be that. The temperature is always set at 71.
Okay.
Cool enough to keep us moving, but warm enough to keep it comfortable. I believe that when you're in the salon, you should feel like you're in my living room. You should feel calm and at peace and a nice jam, a nice vibe. I'm very fast. I book every 15 minutes. So I'm gonna hand you faster than you think and give you your time back. Everything I do is fast, efficient, and effective. I run a very clean book. I keep my prices high enough to keep out the riffraff and low enough to keep out the snobs. We have a lot of very elite clients. We don't share their names. They feel safe here. This is a safe haven. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to expose who I am and who they are. I think a lot of people, a lot of hairdressers are one-hit wonders. They have one celebrity, and so now they've got that celebrity, and that's who they are. I think that's crap. I think you keep your celebrities close to the chest. You don't tell anybody. They want to be able to come in here and feel like human. And we do a lot of people. We have a lot of the people behind the people that run this city. And we keep it quiet, you know? And I think there's integrity in that.
Absolutely.
You know? There's
one of my big things behind the chair is that what's said in the chair stays in the chair.
Yes, girl.
Yes.
Yes. It is nobody's business but your own, and your clients come to you because they trust you. Like they trust that they can say things, and that they're, you know, you might be their only confidant they have. You might be the only person. I remember I was really young, Tasha. I was living in Houston, and I had this very wealthy family, and I did the whole family's hair. And there was a point where I was doing the husband and his girlfriend and the wife and her boyfriend. And it was all on the QT. Like I was not Like I learned really young, you just keep that stuff quiet. And and then when they were in their split, they all asked me to go to court for them. And I'm like, I am not getting in that. I am not getting in that. Like, mom,
Absolutely not.
Because I was young. I was young and I was really incorrigible, and people offered me money, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I stopped doing all of them. I was like, you know what? That's messy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not my thing. And I just was like, I'm not doing that. And I think that you know, my husband says this beautiful thing all the time. He says, if you can't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Facts.
And so you've got to stand on principle and ethics and your belief system, your values and your ideals. And if you don't have that, you don't have anything.
Absolutely.
So we do a lot of very prevalent and prominent people, and we keep it close to the cuff. Like we don't tell nobody.
Yes.
You know.
And that's why you've been able to be successful for so long. Yeah.
Totally.
All right, so let's talk about... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's about respect.
Absolutely. That's the core of our industry, is respect for other people. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Respect is like, it's earned. You know, you earn it and you give it and you acknowledge it, and it allows for a different level of service
and connection. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. I want to get your opinion on, you know, I know you saw recently that the Federal Trade Commission is trying to ban non-compete agreements. At DopDot, do you guys use non-competes is the first question. And then the second question is why or why not?
Girl, we're in New York City.
That'd be insane, right?
I'm going to tell you straight talk.
Okay.
So non-competes have been going on since I opened the salon 28 years ago. I have never made anybody sign a non-compete because I'm going to tell you something. If a non-compete says you can't work within 2 miles, that's 40 blocks in Manhattan. You don't keep somebody from making money. If you don't want to be here, get the hell out. You do you. I don't believe in non-competes. I don't think they hold up in court. People love them. I think it's all crap. Listen, if you're gonna go out there, listen, so the first time I lost a ton of people, I fired all of them. There was a coup happening in the salon. I was on holiday. I came home, called it out, fired all of them in one night.
Oh, snap.
Mama don't play.
Snap. Yeah.
The second time I had a walkout.
Okay.
And those kids, they took 12 people and they took close to $1 million worth of business. And they walked right down the street and opened up, made big deals of themselves. Guess what? They're closed. Wow. Any house built on no foundation is not a house. You think you can do it better than me? Go do you. Yay.
Yeah.
I know what it takes. I've done it more than once.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Between you, me, and the wall, knock me down. Watch this girl pick herself up by her bootstraps and make it happen. Because I have more work ethic in my pinky than half these kids have in their whole being, and I have no problem with that. I don't believe in non-competes. I think they're crap. I think that you don't keep someone from working. If you don't want to be here, get out.
Word. No, totally.
Deuces.
And so I did have a question about, because it's over 4,000 square feet you got in there, right? How many stylists do you have at any one time?
So we had, before COVID, we had 37. Okay. 37 hair people on staff.
Okay.
After COVID, we ended up with about 17.
Okay. About half.
A lot of people left. People went to suites. People went to less than half that. People went to suites. People they didn't want to be forward facing. COVID really was hard for us. We just started coming back in the last year and a half. And I have, which brings us to something that's really big, and I'll be announcing it with you for the first time.
Yay.
I haven't announced it yet to anyone, but I'm going to
Mm.
actually be closing Dopp Dopp. I'm folding Dopp Dopp. It's 4,000 square feet is way too big. We have 25 stations. We don't need them anymore. I'm going to be opening a small entity, a private, very exclusive, very elite shop. And I'm taking part of the team is coming, part is not. That's fine. I think the way of really big salons post COVID is not really the game anymore.
Yeah.
I think the landscape of our industry has changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think
it's changing.
it is. And I
Yeah.
think the landscape has changed. I think that young kids come out of beauty school with 1,000 hours and they don't want to do the 10,000 hours of practice to become an artisanal craftsman.
Yeah.
I think you spend the first 10 years of your career learning what not to do.
Mm.
I think that there is an artisanal craft, and I don't think it comes cheap, easy, or free. I think you actually have to work and make a lot of. I always tell my kids, and I tell the staff, we don't make mistakes, we make discoveries. Until you cut it too short, you don't know that it's going to stand up. Until you melt it off, you don't respect the hair. Until you've pushed the envelope, you don't become a real hairdresser. So if you're not going to do the due diligence that it takes to do a 3-year apprenticeship, you're going to screw up a lot of hair.
Mm-hmm.
And at DopDop, we've always had it that you have to do 150 live heads before I'm going to give you a chair. And they don't want to do that anymore.
Okay.
So, you want to go out there and jack some people up? Not on my watch, not on my name, and not on my time.
Absolutely not.
So it's
And
okay.
you're doing what we've always done. If there's not, the only thing constant in this industry is change. And it sounds like your business is evolving to what the next phase is.
My friend Jason Bakke, we've been friends for many years, and Jason Bakke said to me once, he called me at 5:00 in the morning and told me that they were going to close their salon and that he wanted a couple of his kids to come work for us and blah, blah, blah. And Jason and I were really close, and he said, here's the deal, Jo. Change nothing, nothing changes. And I can hear his voice echoing through my mind, and I love him very much. It's like, yeah, change nothing, nothing changes. And the world is changing. There's nothing wrong with it, but you have to pivot as it pivots. And if you don't pivot as it pivots, you get left behind. And I've always been the vision out front, not the vision behind. And I'm okay with that. I really do believe that everybody has a place. Everybody has a voice. Everybody, we're coming up on Pride Month here in New York, and we've done Strands for Trans for years. We have, I've always had a DEI salon. We've always had every ethnicity, every race, every belief system, every gender, every kind of person here. And so for us, that's never been an issue. It's never been a question. Listen, my husband's Jamaican. My kids they're mixed and they're beautiful. And I don't care what your background is. I don't care who you want to become in the world. There's a place for everyone. And so our inclusivity of who we are has always been the vision, way ahead of everybody else. And so with this landscape changing in the industry, I'm okay with that. I'm going to change with it. I'm going to pivot with it. And I'm going to create something that's still a safe haven for clients, a safe haven for hairdressers, where people can be fully self-expressed, be who they are, take care of the clients they want to serve, and people feel that they're safe. And I think a big salon does not allow for that anymore. I'm okay with that. So we are going to be launching a new entity. The salon, you're the first hearing it. It's going to be called Artistry with an Edge, Salon AWE. It's going to be awesome.
It sounds like it. It sounds amazing. Yes.
And it's perfect. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and there won't be non-competes. I don't believe in that. There won't
Yeah.
be, and not everybody will come, and that's okay. The
Yeah.
people that are meant to be will, and that's okay too. I want people to be successful. My stand for young hairdressers to have financial autonomy has never changed.
And that's why you were able to be successful for as long as you have.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I will continue. I will
Yes.
continue.
Yes. So going back quickly to when you spoke about having walkouts.
Mm-hmm.
Question for that, because I don't know a salon owner alive that has never dealt with a walkout, right? It almost is
Yeah.
like an inevitability of being open for any period of time. So my
Yes.
question for you on that is, um, how did you navigate that, and what did you learn from that?
How I navigated it when I was young is very different than how I'm navigating life now. I'm going to be
Okay.
57, so
Okay. Mm-hmm.
we know
You've
a
grown
few
up.
things about a few things, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You grow, you get older and you grow. Um, so navigating it when I was young, I took it personal. You know, it put me in the
Mm-hmm.
hospital. One of the walkouts put me in the hospital. I literally got a frozen shoulder, couldn't lift my arms up. It manifested itself in my body, and I lost about 6 weeks worth of work. It was not good because
Yeah.
I thought that it was disloyal. And I can see now that people were just expressing themselves. They just had to do what they wanted to do. And I took it really personally, like they're trying to hurt me. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that, and they're closed anyway. So, like, you know, it's like it all is in divinity, it's all in divine order. I want people to be successful. And if I go back to my why of financial autonomy for young hairdressers, I don't feel the same way about it now that I did back then. Um, I think that walkouts happen. I think they hurt. And I think you have to remind yourself that it's not personal. They're not responding to you, they're expressing themselves. And I think that um, every salon owner will go through it at some point. I wish that I felt then how I feel now. I'm far more forgiving. Um, I think that it happens. I think that it's difficult. But you know, the thing that I also wish is I wish that employers would come. My number one job is to be the boss I'd want to have.
Mm, absolutely.
And I say it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My number one job is to be the boss I'd want to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that sometimes people leave because they're not heard or seen or known.
Mm,
And my job as a boss is to have every single member of my team be seen, heard, and known. I think your birthright is to belong.
mm,
And I don't think people necessarily always feel that way.
yeah.
And so sometimes when you feel like you don't belong or you don't have a voice, you have to go.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's why they did. I'll
Yeah.
never know their why,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Thank you for your vulnerability and for sharing that. I know it's not easy to talk about, it's not easy to remember. But again, these are moments that show us who we are,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like there's something to be said for just reflecting on that. So thank you for your honesty and for your transparency.
You know, I think about it, and what just came to me, Tasha, is my husband's Jamaican. And
Mhm.
I remember it affected me physically. It took me out. It affected him really badly. He was like going to set the place on fire. He was ready to go fisticuffs.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're hurting my wife. I'm going to
Yeah.
kill you."
Yeah.
And it was really, I think talking him off the ledge was probably harder than talking me off the ledge.
Okay.
Because he watched me disintegrate
Yeah.
in one of the walkouts, and he had to like build me back up. And,
Yeah.
thank God for his love and his support, and, and my poor children, it really was hard on all of us. And,
Yeah.
somewhere you go, okay, by the grace of God, there go I. And then when my last group left, I was so proud of one of my employees when they opened their salon, that I,
Mm-hmm.
when when my last employee left to open his salon, he was a Japanese hairdresser. I celebrated him every step of the way
Yeah.
because he really did it right. He
Yeah.
really honored me. He honored his space. He honored, and we stayed friends. I kept him on his insurance for a year.
That's awesome. That is the boss
So
I'd want to have. That's being the boss you'd want to have.
yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
I've had all different types of people leave, different scenarios. Each one was different. So,
Yes. And you actually just inspire. I got to write this down because you inspired something that I want to explore in my coaching, and that's how to leave a salon cleanly and with honor. There's a way that you leave, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've spent a lot of time on the salon, and hopefully I've made my salon owners happy with the questions that I've asked. But I also want to honor your time, and so I just have one more question for you, and then I'm going to let you go enjoy the rest of your day and go make your money. So this segment I call Story Time with Auntie Hair Coach. So I give you some prompts. And you just pick one of the prompts and you're going to tell us a quick little fun story or whatever kind of story you want to tell.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
All right. So the prompts I came up with you, there are 3 of them. So you'll just choose one of the 3. Or if you want to do all, whatever makes you happy. Okay.
Let's see how it goes.
So, say that again?
I said, let's see how it goes. Come on,
Yeah.
let her rip.
All right. So the first prompt is looking back over your career. What's one thing that really stands out about yourself or about the beauty industry as a whole? The second prompt is I want to hear your client and or stylist red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And the final prompt is your favorite movie quote and why. And if you don't have a movie quote, we'll settle for your favorite song.
I'll do all 3. So the first prompt was, what is something that stands out from my career?
Yes.
Having dinner with Vidal Sassoon 3 weeks before he passed away. And he said to me, he used to call me JoJo. He's like, JoJo, DopDop forever. And just DopDop forever. Yeah. And so we started a hashtag back then called DopDop for life.
Yes.
So being with Vidal right before he passed was really important to me. I think he was probably one of the most influential people in my career, and I loved him very much. And I was devastated when he passed, but he changed the game.
Yes.
The second question was what?
Client and or stylist red flags.
Arrogance. So I've had lots of hairdressers come in and want, I am this and I am that, and darling, I don't take no clients. Arrogance and ego are disgusting. Righteousness is disgraceful. And if a client comes in with arrogance, ego, or righteousness, or a hairdresser, I'm like, listen, you don't get to work for me. You don't get to be here. This is a safe space. And if I don't have an ego and I'm the owner and I'm writing the checks, you're not going to be in this house. I have fired clients for less. You treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you're going to be nasty, take it somewhere else. I'm not doing that.
Absolutely.
It's not a red
Absolutely.
flag. It is stick them in the ground and kick dirt in their face. Like,
We're
we're not
done
doing
here. Hell yeah. That's one of the first things when I'm working with young stylists. One of the first things I share with them is leave your ego at the door.
check it,
There's
baby.
no space in the salon environment for your ego. It's not big enough.
That, right? Your big old head,
Yes.
you know? And then the last one,
Absolutely.
he said, my favorite movie quote. So
Yes.
I have a movie quote and a song quote. So
Okay.
the movie quote is from my favorite movie of all time. It was a French film called Betty Blue.
Okay.
And it was the opening line of, it's in French, but I'll say it in English. I'd known Betty for a week. We made love every day. The forecast was for storms. It is a very tumultuous movie, and it was powerful, and it hit me at a time in my life when I needed to see that kind of rage and
Mm.
beauty in the same space.
And what's the
So the
name of the movie again?
movie is called Betty Blue. The actress is Beatrice Daly, and it's a very powerful movie, and it's
Okay.
hard to watch, and it's very powerful. And
Okay.
then my favorite my favorite song is by the late Michael Stanley
Okay.
Band. The song is called Spanish Nights, but the lyric is, for passionate people, these are desperate times. Desperate measures call to passionate crimes.
So good.
Yeah,
So
I
good
like
and so
things. I'm very dark, and one
yeah.
of the things that I learned at a very young age from my great grandmother again is, until you really go to the depths of hell and really embrace your darkness, you can never shine that bright.
Mm.
So passionate people are really up and really down. And if we
Mm-hmm.
go to the depths of our darkness, as dark as we can go is as bright as we can shine. So both of
Brilliant.
those, both of quotes and lyrics are about your darkness. And
Mm.
without your darkness, you can't shine bright. So
You can't even know light or understand light. Absolutely. Jo, you are so much more than I expected. I'm so grateful for your time today. What is your preferred method of contact? If someone listens to this podcast and they want to get in touch with you, what's your preferred method of contact?
So really easy. On Instagram, I'm Blackwell Jo,
Okay.
BLACKWELLJO. There's no E on my name. I don't have the plumbing for an E. I'm a girl, so Blackwell Jo. If you're on Facebook, it's Jo Blackwell Preston. On TikTok, it's Blackwell Jo. On Twitter, it's Blackwell Jo, but I don't really do Twitter or X at all.
Okay.
And uh, you can always email me at blackwelljo@aol.com. I'm an OG like that. I kept my AOL. And if you have I'm a corrective color specialist. That's
Okay.
really where I shine.
Okay.
If you have a corrective color question, you can text me at
Okay.
917-302-9710. I'm really available to hairdressers all over the world for their corrective color questions, because that's really who I am. I'm a color specialist. That's what I do. It's who I am. It's what I breathe. I'm an educator. I'm a motivational speaker. I have my own curriculum called Talking Risks, which is an acronym for retention, inspiration, sales, knowledge, and success. I do believe that I have a lot of tricks and of the trade that I can teach any hairdresser to have them become financially autonomous. And I think that, salons bring me in to train and coach their members all the time. I've been coaching salon owners and hairdressers for over 20 years. And if I can ever give back to another hairdresser to lift them up, I believe that we raise each other up, So reach out, find me. I'll find you back just like you did. I
Yes.
think you found me through, I think Hairbrain did, like, who's the hairdresser that made it? Oh, no.
Yes.
Color with Chemistry. Maybe
One of them.
someone put
One
on
of them for
Instagram.
sure. Yes.
And someone called me an OG, and you're like, oh my God, I want to know who you are.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I am reachable, I'm findable, and I'm always available. If it lifts up a hairdresser, I'm for it.
Yes.
And if you're going to be a hateration, you're going to say something disrespectful or doesn't work, don't come looking for me. I'm not your girl.
Don't
I'm
come
not
for
going to fight.
me. And when I did not send for you, baby.
And I just want to thank you, Tasha, for what you're doing and how you're allowing people to be human in a safe space. I think we all need that. I think this world has gotten a little crazy, and I think that if anything that got said today from you or myself helps lift somebody up, then that's what we're doing here. We're not here to take anybody out. A rising tide raises all ships. Let's take care of each other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jo. I appreciate you. You are a special someone in this industry. And I just really, and not because of what you do, but because of who you are. So I thank you for answering my call. And I look forward to getting to know you better.
Put it out there.
Congratulations
We're
on
taking
your
care of
business
each other.
endeavors.
Thank you.
All right. I turned that off.
Sit down. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you could make it.
Next time on Therapy Sessions with Auntie Hair Coach.
And if we talk about it that way, we will begin to understand what is behind some of the restrictions and experiences we have with them that makes us need to create statutory law over the U.S. Constitution. Now, you have constitutional laws, but why do we need to always create statutory boundaries for them?